Talking today to Lance Dickerson, who is the CEO of TIA Telecom. Lance, tell us what TIA Telecom does.
Russell, what TIA Telecom does is we founded ourselves in the design of radio networks in the telecoms environment. What we discovered over a period of time is that networks have evolved to such an extent and the customer needs have evolved to such an extent that the networks don't necessarily meet the customer demands anymore. So a simple and extensive network redesign allows the network to be suited exactly what the customer requires today in terms of services, in terms of coverage, in terms of quality, where he needs it and when he needs it. With the rapid expansion of networks, the design of networks has not been an ongoing thing. It's been more of a ad hoc thing where engineers have designed elements of the network to fit in to kind of what the network as it is, and they've just added to it all the time.
And like Topsy, it's grown, hasn't it?
Exactly. And so what you need to do is to actually design this network to suit the customer demands today, rather than a network that's kind of was designed for the requirements 15 years ago and has been constantly upgraded to suit the needs today on an ad hoc basis.
And one of the big changes clearly has been the move from voice to data, and therefore different things happening in the network.
Correct. The requirement for in-building penetration is very high with data. The customers are moving more and more indoors. The services are becoming more of a necessity rather than a luxury, particularly on the African continent, where the service was always seen as a luxury, but now has become an absolute necessity to the population of Africa. And the networks are not as mobile as what they are anywhere else in the world. And so the requirement for that in-building coverage is increasing all the time, and the networks were never designed to deliver that in the first place.
And what typically do you find when you go into a network?
What we typically find is there's a number of major issues, and the first one is that the network was never built the way it was designed. So there was a design that was put together, the builders went out there, they built the network, and they didn't build it exactly the way that the designers required it. However, the designers have kept a database of their design, but the network out there is wrong. And so every time the designer now designs an additional site, he's designing it from a false base. And typically we find in the region of between 60 to about 90 to 95% of all sites in the networks that we've worked on, there's a significant configuration difference between the design and what was actually implemented. And all that is happening is that this is just causing interference in the network. And by redesigning this network to suit what is required today, we eliminate that and effectively increase the signal strength and reduce the amount of interference on the ground.
And stuff like interference causes drop calls, loss of revenue.
Correct.
Yeah.
Typically, we will see an improvement of between 5 and 18% in terms of revenue growth. So the revenue on the network will jump by between 5 and 18%. If the customer take-up is not there, we can measure a capacity increase, or an effective capacity increase of between 5 and 18%, with no negative impact on any of the major KPIs, such as the drop calls or blocking. And in fact, we normally see a significant improvement in the speech quality index and the amount of interference in the network. So the customer experience improves, they get coverage where they need it, they get improved data throughput, and they also then have the operator then has a database and a network which he can put into an automated planning and design tool and use the design tool effectively.
And the design tool reflects the reality on the ground.
Correct. What a lot of operators don't realize is that they buy a planning or a design tool, an automated tool, and the database that they put into that tool is not correct. And so the tool can never, ever be effective. It's designing with incorrect information, and so it's just making the problem worse. So they will never cure the problem by installing we first need to make sure that the databases are 100% correct before implementing one of these tools. Otherwise, you're never going to get the value out of it.
So where has TIA Telecom done these kind of optimization exercises?
We've done 3 different exercises in North America, and we've done 2 in West Africa, and in all 5 cases we've seen exactly the same results. We've seen between 5 and 18% revenue increase, or between a 5 and 18% capacity increase, with no degradation, and in most cases an improvement in the network quality and the network the KPIs.
And where in West Africa have those exercises?
Both of those, the one was in Nigeria,
Yep.
and one is in Ghana, which are the two biggest markets in West Africa, and Nigeria is currently the biggest market in Africa.
Yeah. Lance, thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you very much, Jose.